So most of what we're going to do this triad is going to be solving equations. But after we solve an equation, we get an answer, we want to be able to check to make sure that answer is correct. It's something we talked about a little bit first triad when we were solving equations, but we're going to do it with more complicated equations. So right now, we haven't really talked about how we would solve an equation that looks like this. All right, so we don't really need to know how to solve it. But what we want to know right now is whether the answer that we got, which is going to be this right here, is the correct answer. All right, so how do we do that? Let's say we solve this equation, we get a equals -9. How do I check to make sure this is the right answer? To check that this is the correct answer for this equation, what we're going to do is we're going to take this -9 and plug it in anywhere we see an a. All right, so on your paper, first thing I want you to do off to the side of this problem is write a equals -9 and box it just like you would box any answer. All right, so we're going to pretend like we've gone through all the steps for solving the equation. We got this as our answer and we boxed it. Now we want to check to see if it's the right answer. All right, so you guys said plug it in. What's the math term for plugging a value in for a variable? It starts with an S. Substitute. So we're going to substitute the -9 for a. All right, so we're going to rewrite this entire equation, and anywhere we see an a, we're going to put -9. So let's do that together here. We're going to have 4 parentheses. Now with the a here, we're going to have -9 minus 3. All right, and then we have -3 parentheses 2 -9. Now this is something I need to deal with here. I don't want to write just 2 -9 because that looks like 2 minus 9. But what does 2a mean? It means 2 times a, right? So when I do that, I'm going to put the -9 in parentheses to show that it's multiplication and not subtraction. All right, then we've got our -4, close the parentheses, equals 18. Now what we want to do is we just want to simplify this. So we're going to simplify the left side. We're going to simplify the right side, which the right side is 18. Can we simplify 18 any more than just 18? That's it, right? That's as simple as it gets. So we're going to just take the left side here and we're going to simplify it. To simplify it, we're going to use order of operations. You guys remember order of operations? What was the little acronym that we used? PEMDAS, right? So we're going to simplify this using PEMDAS. All right, so we've got parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. All right, I see parentheses in a couple of places here, so we want to start by simplifying what's inside of the parentheses. In this parentheses right here, what am I going to do? -9 minus 3, right? What is -9 minus 3? -12. So I'm going to put -12 down here. I'm going to keep that in the parentheses, and I'm going to put my 4 out front. All right, and then we've got -3 parentheses, and inside of the parentheses here, we've actually got 2 things to do here, right? We've got 2 times -9, and we've got a -4. So should I multiply first, or should I subtract first? I'm going to multiply first. 2 times -9 is -18. I'm going to bring down that -4 then, or the -4, and close the parentheses. Now I'm not quite done with the parentheses yet, right? Because I still have the parentheses here with something in there to simplify. So we're going to do what's in the parentheses there, which is, what's -18 minus 4? Close. Just -22. Did you say -22? Oh, okay. So we've got -22 in there, and I'm going to bring everything else down. So every step along the way, every time I do something, I'm going to bring everything else down. So I've got my 4, -12 in parentheses, and -3. Now, we still have parentheses in the problem, but there's nothing inside of parentheses to simplify. So we're done with the p. Do we have any exponents? No, so we don't need to do that. Do we have any multiplication or division? We've got more though, right? These numbers here next to the parentheses mean multiplication, don't they? That's multiplication, and that's multiplication right there. So let's do our multiplication next. What's 4 times -12? Close, -36? 48. I thought you said 38. -48. There we go. And what is -3 times -22? 66, and that's positive, right? So we've got a plus there. We're done with multiplication and division, so now we're on addition and subtraction. So we've got negative 48 plus 66. 18, yes. Since the 48 is negative, we're actually subtracting them, right? So we get 18 here. And that's it. That's all I can simplify, right? So what does that mean? Does that mean that we had the right answer or we had the wrong answer? Does 18 mean right answer? Does it always mean the right answer? How do we know we got the right answer?
Because we plugged it in and we got the same answer.
Yeah, the key is we got the same answer on both sides of the equal sign. The right side was 18 to start with. The left side is 18. And 18 is equal to 18, right? So if we get the same thing on both sides, 18 here, 18 here, then our answer was good. So to show that we got the correct answer, we're going to put a check mark next to our answer. So we're going to go over to the answer here. We're just going to put a check mark above it to show that we checked the answer and we confirmed that it was the correct answer. The idea here when we want to check the solution to an equation is we're going to substitute the answer that we're checking in for the variable. We're going to simplify each side of the equation using order of operations, which is PEMDAS, right? And then once we simplify each side, if we get the same thing on both sides, that means our answer was right. If we get different things, then our answer was wrong. All you need to do here is write down the answer and then substitute that answer in and see if it's the correct answer. So go ahead and give this one a try on your own. So substitute that 2 in for B. Simplify both sides. This one you're going to have to simplify the left and the right side. And then see if you get the right thing on both sides.
Why is the equal sum good?
First of all, when we're plugging this 2 in for B, we don't want to write 2, right? That looks like a 22. What should I do? Put it in parentheses, right? So that'll show us that it's multiplication. We want to simplify the left side and we want to simplify the right side. This is not like the golden rule where if we do something on one side, we have to do it on the other. This is just something where we want to simplify each side and then check to see if they're equal. So what I would recommend doing is draw a line between the two sides and then just do one side at a time. So simplify the left side and then simplify the right side and see if you get the same thing. On the left side, we're going to start with what's in the parentheses. What's 2 minus 2? 0. So we're going to have 3 times 0 plus 7. We don't have any exponents on the left side, so we move on to multiplication and division. Do we have any multiplication or division here?
We have multiplication.
Yeah, we have multiplication. What's 3 times 0? 0. So we have 0 plus 7. And then we're down to just addition. What's 0 plus 7? 7. So on the left side we get 7 as our answer. Some people like to circle that answer, show that that's what we got when we simplified the left side. Looking at the right side, we've got order of operations. Again, we want to do what's in the parentheses. And inside of the parentheses, are we going to multiply first or add first? We'll multiply. So we do 2 times 2, which is 4. So we've got 5 and then 4 plus 1 in parentheses. We still need to do what's in the parentheses. So 4 plus 1 is 5. I'm going to keep that in parentheses and put the 5 out front. And then 5 times 5 is 25. And so that's what we get when we simplify the right side. So what does that tell me about the answer I got? It was wrong, right? 2 is not a correct answer because when we put it in, we get 7 on one side and 25 on the other side. Those aren't equal to each other, right? So we put a check mark when it was correct. If it's not correct, we're going to put an X through the answer.
You don't have to find it if it's
The question is, do we need to go back and solve the equation again? For now, we're just going to give you an equation and a possible answer. So all you have to do is a check mark or an X if it's right or wrong. If you solve the equation and you figure out you got a wrong answer, then you're going to want to go back and solve it again. All right, but for now, the problems we're going to give you is we're just going to give you an equation with an answer, and you check to see if it's right. Okay, so when we got the correct answer, we put a check mark next to it. If we get a wrong answer, then we're going to put an X over the answer. All right, and then also it says here, figure out why. If we got a wrong answer by solving an equation, we want to figure out why we got the wrong answer. So see if we can check our work and see where we went wrong, or start over. So again, we want to check to see if D equals 4 in this equation. This is actually an equation that we will never work on solving as a class. It's an equation that is a higher level math than what we need to do. But we can check to see if an answer is a correct answer still. So we're going to put 4 in for D and see if we get the same thing on both sides. All right, so when we substitute, we get 2 to the 4th power minus 1 equals 14. 2 to the 4th power, what does that mean? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, right? I'm going to write that real small here underneath so we can kind of work through that. What is 2 times 2? 4. 4 times 2? 8, and 8 times 2? 16. So this is going to be 16 and bring down the minus 1. And then 16 minus 1 is? 15. So on the left side we get 15, but on the right side we had 14. Is that a right answer or a wrong answer? That would be the wrong answer. Okay, in this case we actually don't know why it's the wrong answer because we didn't solve the equation to begin with and we don't know how to. So we just mark that it's wrong and we're done. All right, example 4. So in this example here, we're actually going to check 2 different answers. All right, so we're not going to put 6 in for one of the C's and negative 6 in for the other one, but we're going to check to see if 6 works, and we're going to check to see if negative 6 works. All right, so what I would recommend doing right off the bat here, so in this one, what I would recommend doing is right off the bat, just draw a line down the middle, and we're going to check this twice. So the first time we're going to do 5 and then put 6 in for C, plus 7 equals 6 squared plus 1. And then on the other side of the line we're going to have 5 times negative 6 plus 7 equals, I'm going to put the negative 6 in parentheses here, plus 1. Alright, so I'm going to rewrite the equation twice. One time with 6 in for C, one time with negative 6 in for C. I'm going to start by just doing this one here. So I'm going to draw my line here and just simplify the left side. So on the left side here, do I multiply first or add first? Multiply. So I'm going to do 5 times 6 and get 30. Bring down the plus 7. And then I'm going to add the 30 plus 7 and get 37. Okay, so that's what I get on the left side. On the right side, do I do my exponent first or do I add first? Exponent. What's 6 squared? 36. And then I bring down my plus 1. And what's 36 plus 1? 37. And that's what I get on the left or on the right side. Since I got 37 on both sides, what does that mean? That answer was correct. So 6 is a good answer. I'm going to put a check mark next to it. All right, now I'm going to go check the other one. Again, I want to just simplify the left side and then the right side separately. So starting with multiplication here, what's 5 times negative 6? Negative 30. And then bring down our plus 7. And then negative 30 plus 7 is? Negative 23. There's your answer on the left. And then on the right side, negative 6 squared. So it's negative 6 times negative 6 gives us positive 36 plus 1. And then 36 plus 1 is 37. Is that correct? No, this answer is not correct, so we're going to put an X through our answer there. All right, example 5, we're going to put that 13 in for E and see if that works. This is another example of an equation that we don't know how to solve yet, but we can check to see if it's a right answer still. Make sure, be careful about this, make sure your square root only covers what should be inside the square root. This minus 2 here is not inside the square root. When we rewrite here, we're going to have the 3 and then the square root. Inside the square root, we're going to have 2. And then where the E is, we put a 13, right? So we get 213. Right, 2 times 13, and then minus 1. That minus 1 is inside the parentheses, right? Mm-hmm. But then outside the parentheses, we have the minus 2, and then equals negative 17. All right, so let's simplify. The right side we actually don't need to simplify because it's already simplified, right? So we just need to worry about the left side. On the left side, PEMDAS is a little weird here. We want to think about this square root as being inside of parentheses. So inside of the square root, we're going to do the multiplication first. What's 2 times 13? 26. I'm going to bring down that minus 1 in there, and that all goes in the square root. The 3 goes out front, and the minus 2 behind. All right, now inside the square root, we can still subtract. What's 26 minus 1? 25. So we're going to have 25 here. That's still in the square root. We've got our 3 out front and our minus 2 behind. Okay, now, how about that square root of 25? Do we know what that is?
5.
Yeah, square root of 25. 25 is 5 squared, right? So square root of 25 is going to be 5. Does that mean we have 35 here?
No.
No, it's going to be 3 times 5, right? And then minus 2. Okay, now what? 3 times 5 is 15 minus 2. And then 15 minus 2 is, I'm running out of room here, but that's going to be 13, right? And is 13 equal to negative 17? No, so what does that mean? Wrong answer. Put an X through it. So the next one has 2 variables in it, but notice that the answer that we got also has 2 variables in it. So what am I going to do when I substitute?
Put the number in each one.
Yeah, I'm going to put 5 in where the X is, and I'm going to put 4 in where the Y is. So what's that going to look like? 3 times 5 minus 2 times 4 equals 7. I'm going to draw my line between the 2 sides. The 7 is already simplified, so I just need to do the left side. What's 3 times 5? 15. What's 2 times 4? 8. So we get 15 minus 8, and 15 minus 8 is 7. What does that mean? That's a good answer.